baby. We rollin'! Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMAjunkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it all.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom, producing back east, Jumbo Josh. What's up, guys?
What up? What's going on?
Not much, man. It's fight week, guys. You know, we started doing videos on Monday, did one yesterday, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's because it's not a pay-per-view or what the case is. It took me till today to really start seeing it, and what helped is that ESPN is coming strong. They're holding their end of the bargain. Yeah. I've seen athletes on Outside the Lines, on Mike's new show. They used to be Mike and Mike Greenberg's new show. I don't know what it's called, but that guy from Mike and Mike. And then I've seen Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman and Molly Karam. They had Henry Cejudo on as well. So that, in addition to the bottom right-hand side of that little ticker, it constantly talks about UFC on ESPN +1 with the info. Saturday, Dillashaw versus Cejudo. I love it.
It just sits there in the corner.
It just sits there. I love it, man. It's really, really cool to see that kind of support. Now, late in 2018, I was saying, hey, where's all the promotion? What the hell? I could have sworn that 2010 had a lot of Fox warming us up for 2011, including a show in late 2010 that included a heavyweight title fight. But with this one, it was a little bit of a slow passing of the baton. However, ESPN has grabbed the baton, and they are off and running. Apologies for that.
Hey,
sound.
Josh.
Yo.
There you are. For some reason, when you say something, it goes away.
When I say something?
Yeah, as soon as you say something, the noise goes away. That's why I gave you the hey, Josh.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Not to worry. Not to worry.
All right, here we are. So, we'll just continue. Anyway, guys, I love what ESPN's doing, and I applaud them. I think they're, look, it's only week one. We're not going to sit here and say they're the greatest. But so far, I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of them. I've seen Ariel Helwani have a strong presence. Ariel and Chael have a strong presence. I want to see a little bit more Brett Okamoto, good friend of the show. But still, I'm very happy so far, and it's only hump day. It's only Wednesday, so we still got a ways to go. I would say that the next thing for me is Dillashaw's weight cut. And then after that, I'm ready for some fights on Saturday.
I thought about this. I love everything you said. I'm happy about that. I'm only going to be Mr. Raincloud for a second, and it's only because something came up today where we broadcast live out of the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook.
Every day.
And
do we have to say, when we say daily, do we have to specify Monday through Friday, or do most people understand that daily kind of means Monday through Friday?
It depends if you're talking to a nerd or not.
Okay.
So one of our coming up to us asking us, are you guys going to be showing the Cejudo fight, the Dillashaw fight? And we have to say no, because us and places like Buffalo Wild Wings, they don't stream stuff. So that seems like a big amount of audience that won't be able to watch this fight. That kind of like if you're in a party town, or if you like to do that Buffalo Wild Wings type experience, it's going to throw you off a little bit. Now, granted, they had Fight Pass back in the day, but not Fight Pass is usually Mr. Josh.
Josh, what do you think of Fight Pass?
Yeah, what do you think of Fight Pass, Josh?
I think, honestly, the network and DAZN are better quality, but having said that, I mean, I think Fight Pass is great, and I think I'll make a bold prediction that eventually Yeah, I'll say it. Eventually, the UFC will probably be putting pay-per-views on there, similar to like how WWE puts their shows on DAZN. I think streaming is the future. I mean, I think it would make sense too. I mean, Ryan and Misha on MMA Tonight talked plenty about how expensive it is now to be a UFC and an MMA fan with all the cards, all the pay-per-views, all the different options. So I think eventually you'll see them put their cards on there, maybe $20 a month, bump the price up, and then put their cards on there instead.
Yeah, I'm about to take the dive myself. See, this is where my analysis becomes kaput, guys, because I'm not a sports guy. I'm not a football guy. I can't remember ever turning the channel to ESPN, to be honest. So I'm not going to have a comparison. I'm not going to have a comparison of how it's being ingratiated, what kind of treatment it's getting. So I'm glad you guys are weighing in on this, and I hope you guys continue to give those comparisons. But yeah, that's where I kind of feel blind. So I'm just going to try to stick to knowing the fights as best I can. But yeah, when it comes to this, I feel like a noob all over again, guys. Just diving into it. I get the channels. Yeah, I get the ESPN2 and the ESPN.
So you don't hit 206? That's ESPN on DirecTV.
That is? Okay, I'll check that.
Wow,
I got the Cox.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's weird. I know.
That's
and I'm like,
kind of where I start. You know, when I turn on the TV, I start there and then go, wait, what's on? And then 501's HBO, 219 is Fox Sports 1. What is going on here? We can't do a show like this. All right, what's the problem here?
Hey, Josh, let's take a quick break. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's take an early break, Josh. We're getting the screeching sound again. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Ringing.
MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. Thank you.
Been with him from well, probably almost day one, but he's been with them for a long time. Ever since T.J. Dillashaw was actually at Team Alpha Male. Then, of course, you all know, well, let me start over. Duane Ludwig was there for about a year and a half, had a lot of success, but then eventually he moved back to Colorado. He was their head coach, and they had a really, really phenomenal year. When he moved, it wasn't the most pleasant parting of the ways. I can't believe it. That story's probably about 3 years now, 3 years old. Any new fans are like, really? I didn't know. But yeah, T.J. Dillashaw was with Team Alpha Male. And when Ludwig went, Dillashaw kind of went part-time. He'd go back and forth. And eventually he settled in with Ludwig because really, Duane Ludwig and Uriah Faber had a falling out. But that led to a Uriah Faber and T.J. Dillashaw falling out. But I don't want to get too deep into that because most know that story. New fans may not know that story, but most do. Now, I will say this. Uriah Faber, by the way, has been retired 2 years. My, how time flies, huh, guys?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was listening to some interviews today, and just hearing all that come up again, and just thinking about how long. He went on one of our Legends tours to JBLE, and even then it was kind of weird calling him a legend.
Right.
It seemed like he's just in the octagon not that long ago.
The
but yeah.
sport is flying by, and so I want to circle back. So first, I'll tell you who our guests are. Duane Ludwig, Aaron Pico's our other guest. Damian Brown is our last guest. Aaron Pico will be fighting for Bellator at Bellator 214. That takes place the following week. It is part of that card that involves Fedor Emelianenko and Ryan Bader. Damian Brown got a recent win over former UFC veteran Darren Cruikshank at Ryzen 14. All right, so with that said, going back, I'm pleased with what I've seen out of ESPN, and I'm just anxious to see how this all unfolds. Now, Goes had made a point, and I think that's when we abruptly pulled out for a couple minutes there to do it that quick commercial. Yeah, ESPN is only handling part of the prelims. There you go. That's the best way I can say it. Not all of the prelims. So what's taking place is the UFC wants to promote ESPN Plus. It's their new digital platform. It's their streaming service. So of course they want signups. It's $4.99, and you get all the UFC content that's going to be on ESPN Plus. You will get some prelims from time to time on ESPN or ESPN2, and you will get some cards that are particularly just for ESPN. But most of your fights will be on ESPN Plus. So that's why what I'm about to say is going to sound bizarre, but it makes sense. On Saturday night in Brooklyn, New York, you can have prelims that start the night off. There's 3 of them on ESPN Plus at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Look, there's no way around it. I mean, unless you're a pirate, there's no way around it. You got to get ESPN Plus. It's only $4.99 a month, and you really are going to get a ton of fights. Then they switch over to ESPN. So like Goes was saying, anybody that's going to be here in this sports book or in a bar, you got it. No problem. I mean, most TVs are on ESPN. But then they're going to switch back to ESPN Plus. That's the unique thing is the main event is actually on ESPN Plus. So what they're doing is on ESPN for those 4 prelims, when they're in 110 million homes, they're going to be promoting the hell out of ESPN Plus. This isn't going to be the norm going forward. Well, at least for what I can tell. So if you are in a sportsbook atmosphere or maybe a bar, you got to double check with them because they may not just stream fights for you all. And I don't even know if it's going to be as a sensitive topic as a bar when they, if they were to stream a pay-per-view, for example.
Yeah.
It can't happen because people are paying for that. The bar has to pay for that. Now, I don't know if $4.99 is the same thing as $64.99. I mean, I guess if the bar has it, then maybe they can show it. Who knows? But you're gonna have to make some phone calls. But after about a week or two, we're gonna know how it's working. We're not going to a bar. We'll probably just be watching it on our laptops or on our televisions or whatever on your smart TVs. But for the most part, I would start making sure how you want to handle it if Saturday is your jam and you want to watch those fights.
For our junkie gathering, anytime I've ever tried to plan the fight party, people always ask, can we watch Fight Pass? Can we watch Fight Pass? And every place that I've ever gone to, it's kind of just been across the board. We don't stream. and they say we don't like it because it buffers, people get pissed off, and it drives people nuts. So I don't know if that's a thing that eventually with time will change, or if that's just going to kind of be their thing going forward. But if it is, and they stack these cards the way they stack this one, that's going to suck. That one's going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, I'm glad you brought that up, Goes, because that's what I was thinking about, too. I'm definitely a long ways away from the Buffalo Wild Wings crowd. I try to avoid that at all costs, to be honest. I love the sport, but not particularly fond of watching amongst the fans every time. But that's important. It's important for the growth. It's important for the experience, especially depending where you're at. I lived in certain places where that's your only option. We definitely have callers like that where that's like their thing. And it makes me wonder, but I think the only way we'll have is kind of like back to what George was saying and comparing how they're packaging it. Are they putting other sports in that same streaming service? And on the other end, are they advertising on the other sports platforms like George was laying out on these other shows during these other sports time slots? And I wonder how much of that affect, guys, how much of in return, I think we're losing. The stats show that our MMA fans are getting older. We're losing some of the hardcores, right? But how much more are we going to gain? That's what I'm curious this first year at ESPN of the casual sports fans, not just casual fans, the casual sports fans. You see the delineation there I'm trying to make?
Yeah. If today's an indicator, then I think we're going to gain a lot of fans.
Okay.
But it is week 1. They're probably saying, come on, let's go strong. If this thing flops, well, are they going to do that for the next 5 years? That's how long they're in bed with ESPN. That remains to be seen, but I want to be an optimist and feel like, you know what? The sport has always grown. It goes in ups and downs, but it kind of has, for the most part, it is some sort of a climb. That's how it is with our website. That's how it's been with MMAjunkie Radio. That's, so I'm pretty confident that we're going to continue that with the ESPN era. There's more stars now. Not careful, I didn't say superstars. There's more stars now. There's a lot. Look, I mean, this is what's happening on Saturday. You got this title fight, which is a champion versus champion, and then Gillespie's not a star, but he's 12-0, 5-0 in the UFC. And if he just keeps winning, I mean, more attention's going to come his way. He's kind of like a Newsman, except he's not talking like a Newsman. But Usman was kind of quiet early on, He's got a little bit of that. Benavidez has been around for a long time. Rachel Ostovich versus Paige Van Zandt has a big spotlight. Glover Teixeira. I mean, they're not massive stars, but they're recognizable names. But look, you get to Donald Cerrone. He's a star. Alexander Hernandez, should he beat Donald Cerrone, he'll become a star. That's the first card that's going on Saturday. The following week, ESPN Plus, Asuncao versus Moraes, Aldo versus Moicano. Every card's going to give you solid fighters. What's underneath a star? Didn't we go through this about 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe even star might be too strong of a word.
We topped off at
Aldo's
Mega
a star.
I think, right?
What's underneath a star, though?
Under a star?
Yeah.
Prospect?
No. I like the game we played
where Moicano's not a prospect.
Where we tried to average. I think you guys ended up having like different variations of stars incorporated, but the overall game being headliners and above we're counting, and then compared to how many cards and doing that math and yeah, man, that's another thing. Again, they're coming strong, and to be honest, I was surprised you're saying the fight we hit you late. It was hitting me as soon as they started flashing that 2019 schedule. Oh, shivers went down old Dan Tom's spine with the way I'm wired looking at that monster. Their biggest run yet, guys. So at the same time, I'm interested to see these things, but those people that are like the animals, and I love you guys. We can't have the sports without you guys. So and all of us are somewhat wired like this, but if you're one of those people who are like, give me fights every weekend, don't be mad when we have who's this guy headlining this card, or Greg Hardy's a co-headliner. I don't want to hear that complaint. If you're a person who wants to see these cards at all costs, there are going to be some give and trade. I don't mean to be a point crapper here if you're going another way, but there is an embarrassment of riches though in what is being scheduled right now, guys. There's some really really fun matchups ahead.
I go in waves. When the card is upon us and I turn on the TV, I love watching fights.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, did you see that garbage UFC, blah, blah, blah? Why don't they have more, and it's because all of their talent has been spread out, and that's when I'll go and pick apart a couple cards and say, well, why isn't Cerrone and Hernandez on the Australia card or whatever? But for the most part, if I haven't made any plans, let's face it, I'm a loser. I often do that. And I'm sitting at home on that big old TV.
Same here.
Give me some fights.
Same
One
here.
other thing. That schedule, you're right. It did send shivers down my back.
Yeah.
Part of me was stoked another part of me just knew that we're gonna have to be on top of things because there should be no reason that we don't know with more advanced notice about some of these great fighters that are on some of these fights.
And I'm not trying to be
that are coming up, you know.
And one thing real quick, just to add to your point, I'm not trying to be selfish with that complaint because we could go on that, and that's honestly bottom of the totem pole. But I'm more talking about to what you're talking about. You guys are talking about stars, right? And that's that is the irony. The biggest irony of all is that it, in my opinion, it hurts the fighters because when they do their job and all the stars align for them to have that great performance, we're like, what? Who? You know.
That's why the UFC could use more titles. 75 and 65 for crying out loud. Do it already.
Yeah.
Because Oliveira and Tamor, they're on that card. You got to keep an eye on that. Moicano, a lot of people don't know that Moicano name. Hardcores do. The casual doesn't. But if he beats Aldo, guess what? He could be looking at a title shot. Like there's superstars that sell pay-per-views. There's stars like an Aldo. But what's a Moicano? What's just underneath the star? I guess a contender. An unknown contender or a lesser-known star.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Good.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of Champ. I'm a little tired of that because I feel like every time we do that, we lose a title.
You mean saying it or
no, just making that. You're saying we need more titles,
right?
I feel like every time we do Champ, we lose a title.
Yep.
Because they're not defending.
Yeah.
I would like to see 2019 get away from.
Luckily, they're pretty quick on pulling the trigger and saying, "Hey, you gotta." Like with Conor, it took forever, but with DC, they said you gotta let that one go.
I'll tell you what, though, if Cejudo does it, I don't know that anybody else has that claim because he could say, I've won 2 belts, but I also have an Olympic gold medal.
Oh, yeah. He's already saying that. He's already saying I'm the true champ because I'm an Olympic champion and a UFC champion.
Wait. Cejudo was talking about his gold medel?
Oh, yeah.
That never happens. What are you guys talking about?
Man, if I won an Olympic gold medal, that thing would never. I'd look like Flavor Flav walking
around that thing. So I'd be like, what are you having for breakfast, Ghost? How do you segue into that?
I would say, whatever it is, I hope I don't drop my gold medal into that bowl.
All right. So one other thing here, TJ Dillashaw's weight cut. We're all going to be keeping an eye on that. I think that's going to be one of the biggest subplots of UFC on ESPN +1. And I know this much. Benavidez did MMA Tonight. As I was driving in, I heard him earlier. He's still on call. I know he's got a fight versus Dustin Ortiz, but I wanted to specify he is on call if either guy doesn't fight. The unique thing being, because Cejudo's had his problems in the past. I don't anticipate a problem. Both guys are professionals. I anticipate them making weight. But it's unique because if Cejudo doesn't make it, him and Dillashaw are friends. They're 2 of the guys that got caught in that mess. But they've always gotten along. But I think business is business. They'll have to fight. I guess that means they'll strip Cejudo? What happens in that? That's one thing I don't know.
I would imagine, especially with his weight problems in the past.
They would strip him, and then Dillashaw and Joseph would be fighting for the right to be the champ.
Yeah.
All right. If Dillashaw doesn't step in, then him and Cejudo fight. And remember, Benavidez has a win over him. The same way Benavidez has a win over Ortiz, his actual opponent at this fight card in Brooklyn, he's got a win over Henry Cejudo. So he's playing with house money there. Except I just don't know if he would get another shot because that would be his 4th shot he would be looking at, considering he had 2 versus Demetrius Johnson, 1 versus Cejudo. Could he if flyweight got saved by Cejudo's win, would there be another future bout for Joseph Benavidez in a title fight? I don't know.
I think the schedule is going to determine a bunch of things, but I think the schedule and the contenders are going to determine whether a title comes back or not as far as that division goes. And again, I'm not coming at the UFC. The UFC has to make really tough decisions, and I don't think people sometimes realize that with their criticisms. Like, regardless of what you think, they're going to have to make these decisions. They're not easy decisions either way, but I think we can all agree that it's fair to say that the leverage point is pretty low. Unless you're a John Jones, they're not moving much.
Correct.
They're not moving much for you. We've seen it with New York back last time they were in Brooklyn, in fact.
Correct.
We've seen, even fighters, former champions, maybe have tried to push their leverage, and it doesn't go that way very well. Covington and Woodley, we spent time unpacking that on this show, talking about leverage there. The leverage point is a lot different these days.
The UFC just cares about the bottom line, making money.
Making that
schedule. They could care less if somebody goes, man, you're nothing like the NFL. Man, you guys are a traveling circus. Man, you guys are Barnum and Bailey. They don't care because they're going to hear it and it's going to go away. And on that particular Saturday night, there'll be some fights, and then they move to the next city, and that's that. But if they can make a ton of money, which like they did in L.A., then they consider it a win. It's unfortunate it's that way because I think if they built it right, it could be both ways, but it's just not that way. It's a weird and wacky sport, but it is a fun sport. So jump on, folks. We should take a break because we got to get to Duane Bang Ludwig, who's going to be our first guest. He'll be in the corner of TJ Dillashaw on Saturday. So stay close and don't touch that dial.
abducted by aliens and instantly returned for raiding all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMAjunkie Radio.
If you had to bet, who got the most snacks? Yeah, am I like minus 400?
I think in the store you would grab more snacks, but I would eat more of them.
Really? You can out-snack me?
Yeah, because I don't know if you noticed, I never really bring back snacks, but when people bring them, I can't stop.
Are you a snack guy, Dan?
I can snack, I guess.
Yeah? I'm more of a big meal guy. But I'm obviously outweighing you by, what, 80 pounds? I don't know. So I think most people would say that guy in the red, he's the favorite in the snack off.
I don't know. I disagree. I think I'm a bigger snack guy.
No,
I eat more candy.
I believe you. You're right.
Yeah.
I just admitted I don't really eat much snacks. So, but I'm saying most people would look at us and go, the guy in the red is going to kill it.
Yeah, like if there's a pizza there or burgers, I think you got me. But I pick my little battles here and there, my snacks.
The NFL playoffs are here. Listen to every game on SiriusXM. The playoffs continue Sunday with the AFC and NFC championship games. With SiriusXM NFL Radio, your daily commute takes you down the road to Super Bowl 53. Follow it all on Channel 88 and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Reaching out to the coach there. We weren't able to connect. Hopefully he'll call in here before the top of the hour, because in the second hour we will be talking to Aaron Pico and Damien Brown. All right, if you want to call in yourself, it's 877-FIGHT-93. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. Got some big fights coming up this weekend. It's UFC on ESPN +1, live from Brooklyn, New York, and we have a title fight involving the UFC flyweight as he defends versus the UFC bantamweight. Okay, Josh, I got a message from Coach Ludwig. He's ready to go, so if you can connect us, that would be great.
Calling now.
And the coach can be followed on Twitter at Duane Bangcom. Duane Bangcom. That's DUANE BANG He is the coach for TJ Dillashaw. He used to fight in the UFC. He's a badass, man. Really, really knows the sport. I think a lot of people would say, I think a lot of people would agree with the statement I'm about to make. If you were going to be in a fight, professional mixed martial arts fight, whatever fight, amateur, doesn't matter, and you could have somebody break down your opponent, Duane Ludwig would be one of the guys his name would be thrown out there a lot.
I like him.
He obsesses over film, obsesses over fight strategy. It's what he's wired. He couldn't tell you if the Colorado Avalanche play tonight or if the Minnesota Vikings, signed their quarterback free agent. He couldn't tell you any of that, but he could tell you how you could beat your opponent.
I like Mike Brown as well.
Yeah,
I like the way how that whole team looks at tape.
Uh-huh.
It's fun. They got their little war room and all that.
I hear good things about him as well. We were spoiled for a few years. We had Mark Lehman here in Las Vegas, and you could tell he obsessed over fight footage as well. All right, so the aforementioned Duane Bang Ludwig joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
I'm doing good, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on. Sorry I missed your call earlier. I was talking with Mr. Mike Dolce.
Oh, no worries. No worries. He's a good friend of ours. If he's there with you, please send our regards.
Good guy.
Yeah. All right, Coach.
Sure.
Now, I was just telling the listeners how you obsess over film. You prepare. You pride yourself on that, having your fighters as prepared as possible. You know the weaknesses, the strengths for both guys. But here's what I wanted to ask you. On a Henry Cejudo game plan, or how much time do you think you've devoted to preparing for Henry Cejudo in terms of just watching his fights? Is it like hours, days, and how often do you go back and continue looking at things, as you prepare a game plan for your guy, TJ Dillashaw?
I probably spend about 3 to 4 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
I'll watch it. I'll watch fights multiple times with different mindsets as well. Just get different perspectives. I'll watch it with certain people to see what they see also. But there are some people, I watch them and I just know right away. I see it. typical. It's basic. There isn't much to figure out. Now, we don't necessarily focus on the opponent too much. We mind our business. What I mean by that is, we're in the dojo, we keep our head in the sand and just focus on ourselves and get better, so that when the bell sounds, our opponent is fighting the best version of ourselves, which is what we should all be doing, is just minding our business and not always pointing fingers and seeing what everybody else is doing. So I want to make sure I'm extracting TJ's potential, because this is one thing to think about too. TJ's rematch with Barral, the day of weigh-ins, Barral pulled out. So then who do we focus on? The new opponent, or should we just always have been focusing on ourselves? So my point is, the fight is never set against that opponent until the bell rings. So mind your business, grasshoppers, mind your business.
All right. Coach, another thing I wanted to ask you was, how was it how was it preparing TJ and pushing him the way he loves to be pushed, especially for these big fights that he's always been in, knowing that he has a frame that's built for a fight 10 pounds less than usual? And I ask that because when I ask guys like, hey, why'd you go to 170? Oh, yeah, I can go a little harder, less injuries. So was it the same with TJ? You had to like maybe be a little bit more careful on how hard you pushed him, even though you still were preparing for a 5-round title fight against another world champion?
Well, TJ is not a big bantamweight. He could have made 125, that weight class, on his last fight. He's in that good a shape of a fighter. We're going to have more of a challenge if we ever choose to go up in weight. But the areas that I've seen TJ improve at while going down to this weight class is just his speed. He seems to be just as strong. He's just as mentally focused as always and sharp. And the only difference is he's just faster. And we didn't really have to change much up, other than he's doing a different version of his workouts with his strength conditioning coach, and his diet and nutrition has been changed up. Other than that, we still have the same skill set and mindset to continually improve, because it's the pursuit of mastery, and that mastery is never obtained. So that's one reason why we're both so focused and hungry, and our whole team is just what we do.
Duane Ludwig is our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio. He'll be in the corner of TJ Dillashaw as TJ Dillashaw challenges Henry Cejudo for Henry Cejudo's UFC flyweight title. All right, let me send it over to the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Coach Ludwig?
Hey, Duane. I just wanted to say, kind of leading to my question, I guess, is just congrats on the success as far as your system and seeing it grow. Not just grow, but, grow within the martial arts community and mixed martial arts community. I trained down here at Extreme Couture, and a couple of guys, their coaches obviously speak very highly of you and would go up and train Dennis Davis and so forth. So I just wanted to throw that at you, Coach.
I appreciate that, sir. That's my service back to the world is martial arts, and martial arts for many different levels. Day one students all the way up to the highest capabilities of a martial artist, which is TJ Dillashaw, and then even the coaches in between. So I have a service for anybody who's looking to get better, whether it's just getting in shape or performing at the highest level, or even the coaches. Just teaching and sharing martial arts is my purpose and passion. So I appreciate that. It feels good to be able to help out, give back, uplift and inspire.
Well, absolutely, Coach. But to be fair and to be critical and curious for a second on that note, another, obviously plenty of coaches and martial artists and fighters have sought your advice. But on a recent interview with Ariel Helwani, Henry Cejudo's coach, Eric Al-Bahassin, he said he actually was an affiliate to your program, but said when maybe matchmaking, which I guess makes sense, but you can explain for yourself here in a second, when matchmaking kind of got a little hot, he said you cut his gym off from that. Is there any truth to that, or what is he talking about, Coach?
Yeah, for sure. So we have an affiliate system where I teach other coaches how to teach and what to teach, and they were an affiliate, and I start seeing Henry Cejudo calling out TJ, so I'm like, okay, well, I can't be coaching the coaches that are going to be fighting my guys. That doesn't make sense to me, because even though it is a business, it's also personal for me also. And how does that make sense that I should be helping our opponents' coaches?
Interesting. All right. Goes. What do you have for Coach Ludwig?
Would you? I'm not nervous to that extent, so I do have to draw some lines. And, it's just the way it is.
Hey, copy that, Coach. Believe me, from seeing that side of things, and no questions there. I just didn't want to answer for you. I was just curious to hear what your answer was. But yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Coach.
Yeah, they were an affiliate. Yeah, they were an affiliate, but I can't be coaching the coaches that are going to be fighting against us. Doesn't make sense. I wouldn't feel right morally.
Oh, okay. All right, goes.
Duane, I wanted to talk about the student-teacher relationship. I saw a very cool video, and I matched it up to another one, and it was you and Boss Rudin just kind of going over techniques back in the day. And then I saw one that almost looked identical with you and TJ. And I was just wondering, that those two relationships, are there a lot of similarities? Does it kind of feel that same way?
Yes, in certain aspects. You know, when I was I'm still under Sensei Rutin's guidance, and that's the lineage and the history of our system. I've just taken Sensei Rutin's system and continued to evolve it as Sensei went off to go do more movies and such. So it's been an honor and a privilege to carry on his lineage and to pay it forward to TJ now. And that Sensei, meaning history teacher, from those who've come before you. And that's what we should all be doing, is paying the positive lessons forward. But if the positive lessons forward or against or to a possible opponent of yours, then you need to restrict some of the information.
Watching your career grow from the very beginning, I mean, it's been so cool to see all the heights that you've reached. And the one that I haven't really heard your opinion on just yet is there anything to the fact of just kind of being on ESPN and now being on that big front as a coach? Does that do anything for you?
I love that we are on ESPN now, just for the reach to the more people and being able to hopefully pay a positive lesson forward and inspire people to do better, hopefully. It doesn't change what we do in the dojo as far as us, no matter what platform we're on, we're always going to continue to excel and perform and see what our potential is. But business-wise, I like that we are on ESPN. It shows that we're growing, and that's just more mainstream, and that's nice as long as we're paying a positive message when we're doing these videos and interviews and not acting, just acting accordingly.
Coach, last question here. I know it's a busy week. We appreciate your time, but I just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I wanted to be clear on this. Everybody keeps talking about, hey, if TJ doesn't make weight, Joseph steps in and fights Henry. What if Henry doesn't make weight, which he's had troubles in the past? Does Joseph fight TJ? Is that set?
Good question. I'm not quite sure. Again, I tend to mind my business, right, and focus on my guys. Right. And just extract TJ's potential and make sure we're getting better and our weight's on point and we're all doing our job. And when that bell sounds, we'll see who's across the cage, because whoever's across the cage is going to be fighting the best.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, we are very.
About that too much.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed a part of that answer there, but I was going to say thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We appreciate it. Good luck to everybody out there. We can't wait, man. This debut on ESPN with a huge, huge title fight. I know how much you love TJ. I know how much you've loved building TJ. And it always shows when you guys go out there and fight. Henry's a quality champion, so's TJ. We're in for a barn burner, man. I can't wait for Saturday, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, thank you for having me on, sir. I am always available if you need me. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. We'll see you.
Have a good one. Take care.
You too. That is Coach Duane Bang Ludwig, a stud coach out there in the sport of mixed martial arts. This fight is, I don't think it's going to end early. I see it going at least 15 minutes, and that's good enough for me. It may go the distance, and it may not. I think my prediction was, when we did our prediction video earlier in the week, that's what I was feeling. Not that neither guy can't crack. I mean, TJ's last couple fights have been pretty quick, actually. Cejudo, we know, throws hard. But I just feel like this one's going to be a little bit of a chess match. Both guys respect each other tremendously, and there'll be some firefighting, but I think there'll also be some retreating, and it'll be two fighters trying to, implement two different types of game plans. TJ, the footwork, the spacing. Henry, a little bit of that wrestling. You know what I mean? So you got to get ESPN Plus, folks. It's only $4.99, and I want to be clear about something too. A lot of you say, well, I already get Fight Pass. Remember, ESPN Plus isn't available in Europe. It's only for the United States. So that's basically United States, Canada. We're the ones that are worried about ESPN Plus. So for those of you that are going, wait a minute, and I got to pay $10 a month for Fight Pass along with $5 for ESPN Plus. No, you got to search this on your own. I can't lead you by the hand, but there is a way where if you subscribe to ESPN Plus, the UFC will lower Fight Pass to $5. So overall, you're still paying $10, except now you have both streaming services. So make sure you look into that. There's no reason why somebody should be paying $10 and $5 when they don't have to. And I'll try and say that as much as I can, but I can't say it every show either.
Yeah, man, it starts to add up, but really the content is pretty cool. You know, amongst that, and you got to get the zone too, right? You're going to have quite a few. That's why I love One Championship. Just go straight to your app. Boom, done.
It is pretty quick. It fires
dope.
up quickly, yeah. All right, now let me ask you this real quick in regards to the coach's answer. He wasn't so sure about what might happen next. Shouldn't he be?
Yeah, that kind of rang a bell for me.
Yeah, if it's an option, I mean, you definitely have to weigh out all of your options, right?
Right, that's a question. Hopefully when he hung up the phone, he goes back and says, the junkie guys brought up a good point. What's the answer here? Because that could happen. I'm not trying to jinx anything. I don't really believe in that, but that's something that can happen. And Cejudo's missed weight before. But if it does, now what?
He is one of those guys that does subscribe, though, and he said it in the interview that he just kind of focuses on what they do. Takes a look at the opponent, but doesn't really dive and stare into him.
Right.
So I guess you could give him that, but I would imagine either he's bluffing because you got to know all those options.
I got to imagine that, too. Again, obviously massive respect to Coach Duane there, but you know, it's hard to defend that. That's a fair criticism, especially when he's on the other side saying, hey, you should go up to fight Max Holloway, not even defend bantamweight after dropping a flyweight, which is kind of, you know, I appreciate coaches, you know, getting out there and pumping up their dude. That's what they're supposed to do. But that's kind of a, you know, a dangerous proclamation when, you know, if we're going to turn around and look at more relevant question that you asked this Saturday. And, you know, I hope he's bluffing in that case. Let's
Me
just
too.
say.
I hope he has an answer or at least some sort of a quick game plan. Like this is the game plan. We'll set that aside. We feel like we're going to make weight. The champ's going to make weight, and that's that. But should he not? And it's going to be it's going to be a tough one for the coach if that in fact is the case, because he trained Joseph Benavidez many times. They have a relationship.
Yeah.
Business is business, and trust me, the fight will go on. But that won't be an easy one for either party. Do you remember when the ATT ladies hugged it out with Raquel and Tisha Torres? Because Tisha had been a part of that team, and then she, of course, is involved in a relationship with Raquel Pennington, so she moved to Colorado. But you could tell for that particular fight, punch her, beat her, kick her, do this, do that. Afterwards, hey, you know, let's hang out and be friends. But that's the type of situation this would be.
It could be that he just probably didn't want to deal with that answer as well, right?
Could be, yeah. All right. Time for the daily debate.
I love daily debates.
Yeah, set it up.
We've kind of been treading on this subject a little bit, and I'm afraid that we're just going to be all over it, so we might as well just deal with it now here in this first hour. Here's the question. Are you worried about TJ Dillashaw making weight for UFC Brooklyn? Yes or no, but expand goes.
I wish there was an option that said, yeah, little, but there isn't. So I'm going to say no, just because everything they've said, everything that's come out of that camp has been so calculated, right? With science, nutrition, all of that. They had already done the test cut before for Demetrius Johnson, so I think they have an idea of where they need to be. Now, granted, the shift in the amount of weeks that they've had is a little different now, but TJ was ahead of schedule, so it seems like everything's good. If you look at TJ's demeanor, he doesn't seem to be tripping on it at all. He seems in great spirits. I'm going to go with no.
You're not worried?
I'm not worried. I think at the end of the day, he'll get it done. It seems like everything that camp, everything that he does,
I'm worried
he always
a little
gets it done.
because Cejudo's had – well, no, the question is actually about TJ Dillashaw. I'm worried a little bit, so I have to technically go with yes, because I think 1 to 10% is still a yes. But I'm trying to block it and just rely on the fact that Dillashaw and his camp are very professional. At least that's the way they've always appeared to me. So I'm being optimistic, but I can't lie. I am feeling. I mean, that's why I ask these questions. You know, what's going to happen? Should Cejudo fight? And what are we going to happen?
1 to 2% could be anyone, though, right? You would feel that way for anyone.
Yeah, it's a little for me. How about you, Dan?
I'm going to go ahead and I don't want to tip tip the hand of the results, but to bring a debate into it, I'm going to have to. I'm going to go against anybody who went against no, and I'll let George here tell you how many of you did it, because if we're going to, I think even people who aren't having like weight cutting as like top of their totem pole, maybe they have fighter pay above what the sport needs above it. Maybe they have other issues, trades or whatever. Fine, that's fair. But even the critics of weight cutting, the people who poo-poo it, have to admit that it is an issue and it is on the table. So, if you're voting no for the question that says, are you worried about TJ Dillashaw, I feel like if you say no to this question, you are saying that weight cutting is not an issue. Because if we're not worried, now am I up at night, worried about TJ Dillashaw, praying, and that meme where, the guy and the girl, high-level fighter making a weight cut he's never made before in the age of social media, where we can see him drawn out on the way there. We have a history of bad weight cutting in both this sport and other combat sports, and this isn't enough to worry. Now, I think he's going to make weight. I'm picking him to win. I'm not saying we should be stopping the presses, and the commission needs to be raising a flag because we still got to get past that bridge. But it's an interesting question, because if we're going to phrase it like this, I feel like if you're saying no, I don't know. Am I crazy here, guys? I feel like that's kind of like saying weight cutting is not a big deal.
I said yes, but I'm not too worried. But I am technically under yes. You were a little bit more under no.
I'm confident he's going to make it. What I'm not confident about is how the performance is going to be afterwards and how it's going to affect him. As far as him getting to it, I think he'll do it. But that just seems like it's a lot. It seems like it's tough. And the only reason I'm picking him to do it is because it seems like he's done his research. He seems fine right now. But I don't know what he's going to be like the night afterwards, and I don't think it's even fair to say he knows how that's going to be.
I guess that's why I'm voting yes. I mean, just because I don't know. I mean, and it's funny because I'm picking him as well to make the weight as well goes, and yeah, but I end up on the other side of that, I guess.
76% said no. Boy, how chill are those people, huh?
Yeah.
Either they may not understand the history of both guys, although right now we're just isolated on Dillashaw, or they just trust Dillashaw, or they just don't want to worry about it. They compartmentalize and say, I don't, the fight's going to go on. But I think anybody that knows anything about the sport's got a little bit of a worry, right?
I would imagine if you're a fan, and you want to buy tickets for this event, I would be scared to buy tickets for that event. It would be one that I would either wait until the very end, or I just would go to the next card.
I don't know what their weigh-in situation is going to be like on ESPN, but all the websites are going to stream it. If there's going to be television, I'd love to know about it. But trust me, around that time, when there's a block, if somebody sends out a tweet that says Dillashaw's weighing in 5 minutes, there will be a spike in viewership. We all want to know. Same goes for Cejudo. So that's why this 76 is a little bit shocking to me.
And I know we got to wrap this daily debate up, but I will throw in just kind of two things. There's our own MMA junkie, Mike Bond. He wrote an article detailing the weight cut with Sam Calvito, his strength and conditioning coach, which I guess could ease ease your mind. But by the same token, our own Mike Bond is the stats guy. And what was that stat last year for 2018 on how many main events and co-main events have been switched out for a lot of them for weight cut issues? So I don't know. It's on my radar.
Yeah. Dig into that article. I've been hearing a lot about that. Mike Bond also, big shout out to Mike Bond. He had an incredible article regarding the stats for 2018. I don't know if you guys ever got to sink your teeth into that one.
Do you know what my panic button is on this?
What?
I want him to be first to weigh in. If he's not first to weigh in, it's going to scare the crap out of me.
Both of them. We'd like to see both of them. All right, 76 said no, 24 said yes. Thank you to the 1,655 that voted. All right. We have a quick break coming up here in a few minutes. It's the top of the hour break. It's a quick one. And then when we come back, we have a couple of guests headed your way. Let me tell you a little bit about them. One of them is Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico is I want to say former wrestler, but I think he'll still have one more run at, international wrestling for the United States. Depends on the success of his MMA career, but he's that good. He made it to the finals last time and was beaten in the finals. Otherwise, he would have represented the United States in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. But he is a Bellator featherweight, and he is really, really good. Also, Damien Brown, who got a win at Ryzen 14, he'll be a guest of ours. He defeated Darren Cruikshank on December 31st, so he's fresh off a win. And the nice thing about this new block of time, 5 to 7 Pacific, 8 to 10 Eastern, is we're going to be able to talk to a lot of the people from the other side of the world, because now the time difference is a little bit different. It's no longer a 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. phone call for a lot of those guests, so we'll be trying to get a few more of those. All right, so stay close. Don't touch that dial. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93.
Aliens and instantly returned for raiding all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Next Saturday in Inglewood, California, there's going to be a quality card to start off the 2019 campaign for Bellator. It's Bellator 214. It's at the Forum, where the UFC was just a few weeks ago, where the Lakers hung many banners. And Fedor Emelianenko will be headlining against Ryan Bader. I told that to Juliet today, and she was like, wow. Like, I mean, that name Fedor still, like, makes you take a step back and realize he's still doing this thing. Yep, he's still doing it. He is a legend. If you've never got to see him fight live, it's pretty damn special to see him make that walk, go out there. You're always on the edge of your seat or standing, because Fedor Emelianenko fights, I mean, they go 0 to 90 miles an hour just like that. Ryan Bader's a quality opponent. He's their light heavyweight champ, but he's made it to the finals of the heavyweight Grand Prix. So you guys will be treated to some great fights in SoCal. But now if you can't get to it, Paramount and DAZN got you covered. 9 p.m. Eastern start time. Now in the co-main event is this Aaron Pico guy, who we know who the hell he is, but I'm telling you, you're going to hear this name a lot. This dude comes from a wrestling background, but I bet you he's getting tired of hearing that, because, not that I'm saying anything that's not correct, he also boxed for quite a few years. He's got that liver shot. It wasn't just something he picked up in a camp. He actually boxed for quite a few years, and he's pretty proud of that, you know, and so he's got a formidable stand-up. He's facing Henry Corrales on Saturday in the co-main event, and he's ready to join us here on the hotline. What's up, Aaron Pico? How you doing?
How's everything? I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk to you guys.
All right, man. Well, welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. And I was just telling the audience, they're going to hear a lot about your wrestling, but I know you're pretty proud of the time you spent just immersing yourself in boxing.
Yeah, it was, I had about 30 amateur fights. I had one national pal, Golden Gloves. But yeah, I really have a deep passion for boxing. It's always been intriguing to me. I used to watch it when I was younger, watch all the fights, and yeah, it took me to Japan. I flew out to Japan when I was younger, had a few fights out there, and it's really helping me out now in my career.
What's more fun to talk about if somebody says, hey, man, break down the NCAAs or something like that, like when they have March Madness? Or if somebody says, we got some big ones coming up with Pacquiao and Broner and Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. What really gets your blood boiling a little bit more or flowing a little bit more in terms of like the excitement between both of those sports?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really follow college wrestling all that much. I follow a few people because I know them. I've been on some world teams. But I'm a big fan of boxing. I'm always looking at what's next and all the pay-per-view fights. But I follow more freestyle wrestling, the international circuit. So I always get hyped up when the world championships are going on. But I'm a fan of both. I love boxing. I'm always watching the big fights and keeping tabs on all the guys. But when I was younger as a kid, I knew everybody. I knew their records. I knew how many knockouts they had. It was always a deep passion of mine. People used to always trip out. This young kid knows a lot about boxing.
One could say you were a fight geek, a boxing geek.
Big passion of mine. Yeah, I was. Even when I was wrestling around the world, I was always keeping lookout on all the boxers, watching boxing fights and stuff. So, yeah, I love it. I love every aspect of combat sports, but boxing is definitely a passion of mine.
You almost sound to me like King Mo. He can talk international wrestling for the next 8 hours straight without stopping. But if you bring up boxing, he's pretty well versed in that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's funny. Whenever I do see King Mo, we always end up talking about boxing or wrestling. So yeah, he knows his stuff. He knows his wrestling and his boxing quite a bit.
He certainly does. Aaron Pico, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, he'll be in the co-main event against Henry Corrales next Saturday when Bellator 214 invades the Forum in Inglewood, California. Now, the start time for the main card is 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So, local audience, you have plenty of time to enjoy your Saturday and then get over to watch some fights. In fact, get there a little bit early because at 3:50 p.m., you can watch. There's going to be quite a few prelims, and I'm telling you, there's always some really good fights. A lot of local fighters when you get to the prelims. Now, remember, that fight is also headlined by Fedor Emelianenko versus Ryan Bader, so that's pretty special. Goes, I think, has some boxing questions. Goes, what do you have for Aaron Pico?
Yeah, that's actually something that really interested me about your career, and I started to kind of align the dots for a second. And I know that Bellator signed with DAZN last year, and one of their big signees was Canelo Alvarez. And anytime I think of Canelo, and I'm talking to a boxing fan, it's very easy for me to, when I'm talking about you, I go, you know what? This kid kind of hits like Canelo. He loves to go to the body like that. He'll go right up to the head. What do you think of Canelo? And have you ever met him through anything with DAZN?
No, I haven't actually, but I am a big fan of Canelo. People used to always say when I was boxing and stuff, you know, there's a new up-and-comer named Canelo Alvarez. You should watch him. Kind of have a similar style, similar to him. And so I've always actually really enjoyed watching all his fights. I've watched all of them, and yeah, I like to go to the body, same as him. Kind of a funny fact of mine is my horse is named Canelo. I didn't name him that, but when I got him, they said his name's Canelo. I said, oh my God, this is crazy. I really like him as a boxer, and now my horse is named Canelo. So yeah, I enjoy watching him box, that's for sure.
Well, I think every horse from now on has got to have a boxer's name, right?
Yeah.
Who would be next?
I know. Everybody always thinks that I named him after Canelo, but I didn't. He has like a chestnut coat, which is kind of like a reddish color, so they named him Canelo. But people always trip out when I tell them that.
I think some other ones would be Pac-Man, Money, and Loma.
Yeah, you can get away with those for horses.
Right? Those sound pretty cool, right, for horses?
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad.
Aaron, I was listening to Freddie Roach talk about you. If Aaron were to ever get bored with MMA, and I thought about it, and it just seems like you have so much fun in that cage, could you ever see a scenario like that where you would just get bored of mixed martial arts and give boxing a try, or could you ever do both?
Yeah, my goal is honestly to do both. I definitely think I'm capable of doing both. But I really see myself in the future. As a kid, I always thought of myself doing both, doing MMA and boxing, because my boxing was so well, and obviously I've had a background in wrestling, so I knew I wanted to do MMA. But I really, it's not a matter of if I'm going to actually.
have some professional boxing fights, and I really want to try to make a run, you know, and have some fights. Obviously, have some big fights, but I want to have a few boxing bouts. Like I said, as a kid, I really love boxing, and I definitely see myself in the future having some ring time.
That's pretty big praise from a guy like Freddie Roach. And he was very clear to say he's not an MMA guy who's good for an MMA guy at boxing. He says he's good at boxing.
That is high praise. All right. Dan, Tom, what do you have for Aaron Pico?
Yeah.
Man, that is huge praise, and it feels like I think we all came to the. I got to be honest, Aaron. I think we all came to the table with boxing questions, and I'm realizing that now. So I'm gonna kill off a few of mine and ask you about Henry Corrales. But first, I just got to ask one thing. My favorite strike, and I come from karate and taekwondo, but my favorite strike, because I grew up watching boxing, Aaron, is the left hook to the liver. So obviously, I'm a fan of your work. Was there any boxers in particular you watched or you modeled that punch, or maybe inspired you to throw that punch?
To be honest with you, no. I've always, people have always said as a kid, don't be just a headhunter and go to the body. So as a kid, I always mixed up my punches, working high, low, high to the body, and I just grew a natural. The left hook just came so natural to me. Everywhere I would go was a 1, 2, 3. I'd shadow boxing. I'd always incorporate the left hook to the body. So. It's something that I don't really think about. People ask me all the time, how do you set that shot up? And I say, to be honest with you, I can't tell you how I set that up. I go always watch my fights after, and I think, damn, I don't know how I did that. It's just, the punch has been thrown so many times. When I get to the fight, I don't think about it. It just flows. So, that's probably thousands and thousands of times throwing the punch.
I love it. Now tell me, does it flow when you think about your opponent, or do you like to think and maybe watch tape on your opponent? Because when I look at Henry Corrales, and you can tell me what you think here in a second, Aaron, I think he's an underrated guy. I mean, you look at his last 3 losses, former champions or title challengers, and his last 4 wins are against really underrated guys. Not maybe the guy with a big name value, but I think he's an underrated talent. How do you break down Henry Corrales exactly?
Yeah, for me, I think one word comes to mind about Henry Corrales, and that's just tough. He's a veteran. He's been in there with some wars, guys that are Bellator veterans. So the guy has earned his respect, and I just feel he's very, very tough. He wears his opponents down, and guys usually can't take his pressure. But back to me, I think the skills that I have and the conditioning that I have, I feel it's the skills are a lot more superior than him. But make no mistake that he's definitely going to come spring to throw some bombs. But we're ready for everything. And I know if I stick to what I know best, and that's to use my hands, wrestle, or just use all my skills, it's going to be a great night for our team. I really believe that.
Aaron, back to the liver punch. Not just in MMA, but in MMA and boxing, but especially in boxing, is the liver punch going even lower now? Still legal, but there are times where I'm wincing because I'm thinking, wow, is he getting close to going below the belt? We'll say, but I'm noticing a lot of refs are still letting the action go. The punch is still as effective. Is there a particular spot you're actually aiming for, even just below the liver as well?
No, I mean honestly, I will go straight for the liver because I don't know if you've ever gotten punched in the liver, but it's the worst pain in the world. I'd rather be hit in the face than the liver. You get hit to the liver, it's going to take a while to recover. So, no, when I go, I try to hit anywhere close to the liver and hope it lands, because I know when it lands, it's, usually, tough guys can endure it, but it's going to take a while, and you know that it hurt them because you can't breathe. I've been hit to the liver, I've been kicked there too, and it definitely doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, with Canelo, it just seemed like he was going lower than I'm used to seeing other traditional body punchers go, like even Julio Cesar Chavez. So I was just wondering if, much like how everybody used to kick the thigh and now everyone's kicking the calf, if there was if boxing trainers were maybe instructing boxers to go a little lower. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, hitting the hip, I know if you get hit to the hip really hard, it hurts. I've heard some trainers say, some trainers have said, you can't hit the liver, hit the hip, but
right.
make sure you're very discreet about it because it's obviously illegal. But no, but back to what you were saying, it's not uncommon. There is some trainers that I've heard that say go to the hip, because it kind of hurts sometimes, but it is probably an illegal shot. So
I haven't heard anything official, but is Tokyo completely off the table for you?
Right now, I'm focused on MMA. I really am focused on MMA, and we'll see what the future holds. But like I've been saying, the whole goal in mind is to be the best fighter in the world, and that can mean a lot of things. That means you get some boxing fights in and get some boxing fights. That means wrestling in the Olympic Games, getting some jiu-jitsu tournaments in, getting anything. My whole goal is to be the best fighter in the world, and having to do certain things along the way to enhance that and get me one step closer. I'm all for it. But right now, I'm content with my MMA and progressing as that. But for me, honestly, I'm an open-minded guy, and whatever I have to do to fulfill that dream to be the best fighter in the world, and I will.
The wrestling.
We'll see.
Sorry to interrupt there. I was gonna say the international wrestling scene is, I mean, you're only 22, so even if you were to say, all right, I'll do the next one, 26 is still an age where a common age for a lot of the Eastern European countries, Turkey, Iran, a lot of those guys are wrestling, into their late 20s and early 30s. So I think people should understand that it's not like the ship is sailing if you decline Tokyo in 2020.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see. It's still, I'm still young, 22, and especially in this game as well. It's always evolving. So we'll see. Nothing is off the table. I mean, my whole goal is to be a great fighter, and obviously you have to be well-rounded in everything. So that's wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. So we'll see. Everything. I'm still young, still very, very young. So we'll see what the future holds. Nothing is set in stone.
I know you're with the Body Shop guys, but I think you also get some time in with Dillashaw and Swanson and those guys. Were you able to do that for this training camp?
I was. I work with Antonio every day and some of the Body Shop guys, but I switched up to some of the days I would go to in the mornings, go spar with those guys, do some drills, and then at night go with Antonio. So yeah, it was good for me to get different looks, especially Juan Archuleta and TJ Dillashaw are all in camp. So there was a lot of great guys coming down to spar with them and just different bodies in the room. So yeah, I switched up my time between the Body Shop and training lab, and it worked out really, really well. I
think that's a good thing for people to know because, Cejudo's talking about he's got wrestling that's hard to mimic because he's, international level, but one could argue so are you. So if Dillashaw had you as part of your camp and you had Dillashaw as part of vice versa, you know what I mean, each other's camp, then iron was sharpening iron for sure in preparation for these big fights that are coming up for both of y'all. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I did a lot of work in with TJ, and my wrestling is just as high as Henry Cejudo. It's not higher, to be honest with you. I've traveled all around the world, the best. I've spent many weeks and months in Russia, Dagestan, Ossetia, all the best wrestlers that you can possibly think of, wrestling all around the world. So I've seen it all, to be honest with you. The highest level of wrestling. So TJ wasn't lacking a high-level wrestling partner. Yep. I agree. All right, man. Well, listen, it's been fun catching up with you. And we are looking forward to you versus Henry Corrales, Fedor Emelianenko versus Ryan Bader. It's going to be a great card. Short drive for you, you being a Southern California guy. I think this is your 5th fight in California, so you've gotten pretty lucky there. But I know that from the sharp people that I talked to in this sport, it's not just Bellator. A lot of the top coaches, a lot of top fighters are endorsing Aaron Pico as the next great featherweight superstar out there. So we are all watching in anticipation. And can't wait to see what happens on Saturday versus Henry Corrales. The following Saturday versus Henry Corrales.
I appreciate the time, guys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Aaron. Take care. Bye-bye. That is Aaron Pico. You can follow him on Twitter at Aaron Pico USA. This dude, guys, he's built like a fighter too.
I know. He reminds me a lot of Michael Chandler, and he makes me feel like such a loser. Because I think about what I was like at his age, and it was nothing. Like, he may be more mature at his age now than I am at my age.
When you see him in his suit and he's walking around the events or whatever, you can just tell. You don't have to go, are you a fighter? You can tell he's a fighter. Yeah, and he's a pretty damn good one. And with him and McKee pushing each other, and then later on in the day, him and Dillashaw pushing each other.
Swanson.
Ooh, man, that is quite a team that they've built out there. Big shout out to Dan and the guys over at Bellator for lighting that one up. All right.
Hey, if when Aaron goes pro, because he guaranteed it, do you guys see him winning gold on the boxing side?
No, I don't.
I'm the wrong person to ask for that.
Probably not, just because of the people that have won gold. They've just been doing it continuously.
Yes, exactly.
Like it's not even a thought.
That muscle memory, the speed, the combos. If Aaron Pico was reborn, and he's 22 right now, and if for the last 15 years he had been boxing, then I'd probably say, yeah, Josh. But to just go from now, even though you're a world-class wrestler and you're appearing to be a world-class mixed martial artist, I don't think you can just turn it on, go to boxing, and be an Olympic. I don't even think he'd make the team, for one. Two, if he did, I just don't think he'd win the gold medal. Hell, Floyd Mayweather didn't even win the gold medal. But that doesn't mean that I don't think he's a great boxer for the sport of mixed martial arts, for sure.
He gets high praise from very high people in boxing for his boxing.
Yeah, it's just a whole other animal. And you need the time, you need the reps to have that kind of success. That's got to be basically what you do, and it should be that way. Michael Jordan should not have been able to go over and play AAA and then have some team call him up and go, you know what, you're the shit, and go do that. A few guys pulled it off. Like Deion Sanders, I think hit 300 once for the Atlanta Braves. He led off. He stole some bases. He played, and then was able to be a world-class all-pro cornerback. Bo Jackson was able to do it, but they weren't able to sustain it, and it wasn't a long-term plan. The body's not going to hold up. I just don't know that you can do that. You can do that in high school. There's people that are all-state in all three and got college offers in all three. In fact, I think Dave Winfield, now I'm going a little old school, he got drafted in the NFL, in the NBA, and played Major League Baseball for I don't know how many years. I think Dave Winfield is a Hall of Famer. But, at some point, that's all you can do. I mean, there's just not enough. You can't spread yourself that thin. If you're going to be one hell of a tight end or defensive lineman, linebacker, whatever, then that's what you got to be.
Can I segue into something?
Sure.
Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, two guys that played two different sports, which means you're basically going year-round.
Yeah.
Your body nonstop. It's a lot of pressure, not just the training, not just the games, but the training for them. I segue into Jose Aldo and the explanation of why he took the 3-round fight versus the 5-round fight. And it's just a matter of he's been fighting 5 rounds for so long that they just think it's a good idea that if he's not fighting for titles, why not?
I thought that was a brilliant decision, actually.
I thought that was a great decision.
Yeah.
I thought it made a lot of sense. I think more coaches could get involved that way, and it's something that I've been campaigning since the very beginning. Is people underestimate how much more mileage these fighters are getting once they made that switch to 5 rounds. It really we're seeing some fighters come and go, and it seems like it's quick, as we're early on. Granted, the schedule wasn't as packed as it is now, but it just seemed like there was a little bit more longevity. I think that's a brilliant move on his part.
I haven't read that article yet. That's one of the many things that I've been meaning to get to today. But that is if that's the explanation, I mean, I'll go read it myself. But that sounds like a good one. And yeah, credit to you guys. I've been hearing more and more people talk about it. But you've been one of the first people championing that for a long time now on this show. And unfortunately, I wish you were wrong about it, but it's true. I think we are seeing that argument.
Well, what happens is if him and Moicano are fighting, and it's 1-1, and it's a great fight. In the third, when they are going at it, and we still can't decide who's going to win the round, Rogan or Anik, one of those are saying, then the last minute this round could be decided. All it takes is for one of those announcers to say, wow, I wish this was 5 rounds. And we all kind of are thinking the same thing, but we're in agreement with the biggest voice, which is those announcers that are putting it out on television. But when that fight's over, we're on to the next fight, or if that happens to be the main event, then guess what? We're on to next week, and we forget about it. It would have been nice at that particular moment. But trust me, those 2 rounds, extra 2 rounds, add up. You know what I mean? It's like you said, excess mileage, wear and tear. They're not getting paid more, that's for sure.
That pace
so it
of
has
round
to have,
3 would be good, though.
It has to be for a world title, or it has to be the one time that they ask you to headline, because if you win, you're supposed to get a world title. And then other than that, I wouldn't blame too many fighters for going, I'm good. You know, unless I'm really, really next, or this is for some gold, I'm good. You know, I'll put me wherever you want me co-main eventing, send me fucking New Zealand or opposite, a 20-hour flight, anywhere you want, but I will do this fight instead.
I would like that, a contenders fight, maybe, because that would make sense, because you don't just want to walk into a 5-round fight either, right, without ever having been put through something like that. I could see that.
What card is that, and who's the main event anyways?
So that one's in Brazil, and it takes place in 2 weeks. No, 3 weeks. And the main event is Marlon Moraes versus Rafael.
Oh, okay, that makes sense why you want that. Why you guys?
Yeah, they are. Right. Now those guys might be on the cusp of a title.
Yeah,
and that's why they're going to go 5. But you know, they haven't had as many 5-round fights and 5-round camps as Jose Aldo. All right, we got to take a break. Let's take the long break and get that out of the way. And when we come back, we will be talking to Damian Brown, who got a win at Ryzen 14 over Derek Cruikshank on December 31st. So he's pretty fresh off the victory, and I'm sure he's still pretty high off that win. So stay close, and we'll be right back.
and beyond. I feel people pulling me down. I feel some pulling me up. I can't get stuck. I just keep moving forward. I got places to go, man. Let's go.
They're my life coaches. Everything I've done has been under their strict supervision. Here are George's Goes and Shores.
Tonight at 10:30 Eastern, here the New Orleans Pelicans, step onto the court against the Golden State Warriors on NBA Radio Series 207, XM 86, and streaming on your phone and at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. Now that should be a good game. I just don't know if my man with the unibrow, what's his name, Anthony Davis? I don't know if he's got enough firepower to battle the Warriors. When the Warriors are on, I think Steph had almost 50 the other day, and KD's always good for his. I think he's second in the league behind Harden, who's an absolute beast. Had almost 30 points per game, and now all you need is for a Draymond Green
now all of a sudden coming into their team,
or Klay Thompson to
we all forgot,
get on fire. And I'm telling you, if they get hot at the right moment, once again they will be the favorites going into the playoffs. But we're still far away. We haven't even had the NBA All-Star game. All right, and NBA radio is solid. Seriously, every day, Channel 86 on XM or Sirius 207. Check it out. All right, our next guest, former UFC vet, he got a win recently. At Ryzen 14, he beat another UFC vet, so he's back in the win column. He's now got 18 wins in his MMA career. That win came via submission guillotine choke in the first round on December 31st. Who had a better New Year's Eve than him? It's Damian Brown. What's up, Damian? How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're doing great, man. Welcome to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George, Goes, and Dan. And congratulations on your win at Ryzen.
Thank you. What a fantastic new year. It's been a rough couple of years. It was a nice way to bring in the new year.
Yeah, and from what I can tell, it was your first fight in Japan. Can you talk about that experience and talk about fighting on a date that's been reserved for many epic cards in the history of mixed martial arts?
Yeah, I mean, Japan, it's a different it's an amazing atmosphere, but it's totally different. Like, the crowd's silent, the fans are, like, always in the lobby. Like Western countries, like America and Australia and that, they have some fans and that around, but and they're super loud in the stadiums. But in the stadium over there, it was dead silent. Like, you could hear the Aussies in the crowd, like they were your corner. And so it was a different atmosphere, but it was an amazing experience. I can't wait to do it again. And the fans over there are amazing, and yeah, it was cool. I've never been in Japan before at all, so it was nice to go there. It was a quick trip. We got in, we can't wait. We won the fight, and we got out the next day. So it was a super quick trip, but it was an amazing experience.
Are you signed to any form of a contract with Ryzen, or are you a free agent again? And how will this work out going forward?
No, I'm signed to Ryzen, but only something exclusive. So I'm signed to Ryzen for one more fight. I signed a 2-fight deal. I'm exclusive in Asia. But if I was to take a fight elsewhere, it would need to be ran by them, I guess. Mm-hmm. To make sure it doesn't collide with any of their, plans, I guess. So, yeah, we do have another fight with them.
Is your future in Asia and Oceania for now, or would you like to return stateside, whether it be the UFC or Bellator or PFL, or even maybe head towards Europe? Where do you think you want to fight? Like, I guess it's a two-part question. That just that question in itself. But I'm always curious when fighters are released by the UFC, just how many promotions are out there trying to sign you guys. I hear Russia's opening up the checkbook as well.
I mean, I didn't have them knocking my door down, that's for sure. It was a little different for me. People couldn't sign me anyway because I was injured. I got released right bang in the middle of, my rehab. I was only about 6 weeks post-surgery. So I had a pretty long layoff before I could even talk to any other promotions. But I think there's some guys out there that have reached sort of the ranked level, top 15 or whatever, and they get picked up pretty quickly. People want them, but I spoke to Bellator briefly, and by phone I spoke to the matchmaker, and I spoke to Ryzen by email, and then I signed with the new management company. And pretty much like a week after I spoke to Ryzen, I got signed to Ryzen. So they didn't come knocking the door down for me, but the ones that I approached were open to it. But when I left the UFC, for me it was Ryzen or Bellator was the only thing I wanted.
Right.
I wanted to fight in Japan. I felt like my style suited Japan. And I felt like, the Japanese fans and promotions don't really care about records. They care about entertainment from a martial arts point of view. Not entertainment like, Conor McGregor talking pre-fight point of view, but from what happens in the cage or in the ring, that's what they care about. And I felt like I definitely suited that demographic. But I love America, man. I've been over here for the last 6 years, and if Bellator had signed me, then that would have been fun by me. So I'm hoping that those crossover fights that Bellator and Ryzen have, I'm hoping that maybe I can bounce between Japan and America for the next couple of years. That'd be real nice. I fought in Europe before, I fought in Asia before, I fought in America before. So, I'd be happy to do that. Be signed to both of them and just have them let me sort of fight twice a year for each of them. That's 4 times a year for me. That's perfect.
Damian Brown's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's coming off a win at Ryzen 14 over Darren Cruikshank. All right, Dan, Tom, you're the one that first communicated with Damian Brown. What you got for Damian Brown?
Yeah, Damien, I was staying up, man. I was staying up because your fight with Darren Cruikshank was, in my opinion, the sleeper fight in the undercard there, the mid-card, however you want to call it. So, obviously, congratulations, and thanks for coming on to join us.
No, thank you, man. It's the first talk show or radio show that I've been on in the States, so I appreciate that. And but yeah, no, the win was a big one. I thought people were sleeping on me, actually. I thought that I think I was the biggest underdog I've been in my career, and I thought when they offered me the name, I was like, stylistically, I thought that the matchup suited me. We jumped at the opportunity, so but it definitely had the opportunity to be fireworks. Had the fight have gone the distance, so for sure.
Yes. You're parlaying that into the fight talk as far as Japan and that possible crossover. I thought the same thing. I'd be lying if I didn't say I played Damien Brown as an underdog or close to, because anybody who's watched your fights, they are fun, they are wars, and to your credit, Damien, they are competitive, and you're in there in the toughest division in the world, facing some of the top guys. So I could definitely see why you say that, and why someone like yourself vibes with the Japanese community. But on the other end, what I wanted to ask you was about the Bellator side, and not so much about the fighting side, Damien. Bellator did something, and I actually thought of you because the one of the few stateside interviews I heard you talk about. You talked about your background in the Australian infantry, PTSD, and you're a big advocate of that, and coming from a family of veterans with those issues, I commend you. My hat is off to you, sir. But for example, a lot of MMA organizations do stuff with the military, and I know Bellator does merging with the Vets and Players organization, the MVP, if you will. Are you familiar with that? Was that something you spoke about as far as interest on that short phone call you had with Bellator, or just is this something even on your radar, Damien?
No, look, the conversation I had with Bellator was just with the matchmaker.
Okay.
It was just about an opportunity to fight for him. It was only fight talk. That was it. I've always pushed, no matter what promotion I've been with, but especially with the UFC, because I know they did stuff with veterans and, with the military and that. I always pushed for them to take me to America. They do a lot of promotional stuff. They send us to Iraq and all that sort of stuff. I always asked for that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm probably the biggest voice for the Australian military people as far as athletic platforms go, and I want that voice to be heard. So America with their veterans is like no other that I've seen in the world. It's that they're super patriotic. Veterans can wear uniforms in public. When you go through the checkout, thanks for your service, sir. Like it's just amazing how they treat their veterans is from someone who's been in different countries, who's from a different country. I feel like it's awesome. I think that in America, there's some people think that they're not treated as well, and they could be treated better, and that's fair enough because they probably can everywhere. But from as an Australian and watching how our veterans get treated, and then going to America, I think it's incredible how they get treated. So I think that, you know, the bigger platform I can get to get veteran awareness and PTSD awareness out there, then the better. And I think that Bellator would be a great fit for that. And I think that between the two promotions, you know, I could stay busy on the fight side as well, but I could definitely reach more people with the other stuff that I do as well.
Well, just a quick follow-up on that, and last one for me, Damien. What was the UFC's response? Just curious, because they are very active in that. And just in addition, is there anything back home, programs that you are a part of, just non-MMA wise, that you do take part of?
I think the thing is, with the UFC, I always just got the answer: if we can find a spot where you fit, then we'll let you know. And it was always, and I just never hear back, because they like promoting people who have a name, who can string together a bunch of wins. And other than that, well, to be honest, other than that, they don't really care. You know, you never see them have a guest fighter who's coming off losses, who maybe not as big a name, and they're probably the guys that need it. They're the guys that need coverage and that need a push, and they never get it. And, you know, maybe that's the big company thing, and their model works because they've promoted the fighters who people know. So it is what it is, but yeah, I just never got any traction with it, no matter how much I tried. And as for what I do at home, you know, I'm looking at setting up my own stuff to help veterans, you know, more so in my area at the moment. It's in its early stages, but you know, I'm here. All my messages, my inboxes, my DMs, everything's open for people to message me. I get people that message me all the time. So yeah, that's what I do back home. I don't really do stuff with the charities here because I feel like a lot of them have their own agenda. So I try to steer clear of that. And just do the stuff that I think works, and that's just being an ear for a lot of people. So,
well, I want to say this. I know America's going through a lot, especially with this government shutdown. But I'll tell you what, when Damien was explaining how he's, I don't know if he said admired, but, you know, he appreciated how Americans treat veterans. I felt a proud American moment there for a second, you know. And our country's going through a lot, and I know that our country's divided at times with so many, you know, social injustices or controversies or whatever. But I really enjoyed hearing that, and I guess I do want to follow up on something. In Australia, do the veterans not get as much love, or just not as much as America? Can you clarify that, Damien, for me?
I think, well, for instance, in the military in Australia, they kind of recommend that you don't go in public in uniforms and stuff like that, because Australian veterans can be a target of, you know, all sorts of stuff. It's endless, really.
Like what?
But whereas in America, I've seen people like cruising around, and as soon as you see someone in uniform, they like you don't even know them, and they thank you for your service. Whereas out here, it's like people don't care if you're in uniform. You know what I mean? You could walk through the shops and no one will care that you're in a military uniform. You just get treated like it's any other job.
How are you in Target, though?
I think that there's, you know, you're not going to get hurt by wearing a uniform.
Oh, okay.
But I think the current climate, as far as threats to military bases and all that sort of stuff goes, people have been told it's recommended that you don't do it. But people do it still, but it's not, you know, you can't do it. Yeah. But I noticed that when I was over there, there's a lot of, like, older veterans. You know, they wear badges and that on their hats. People know that they're a veteran. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, you know, you'll see them at a checkout. They're older. They might be in a wheelchair. They might be, you know, with a walking frame or something, and they're constantly getting recognised for their service, even though they might be 70, 80 years old. And I think that's incredible. Like I've never seen anyone do that here with a veteran that's 70 or so years old. But in saying that, it's they don't really wear badges on their hats and stuff either. I think it's just an American thing. It's American culture. I think they're just a very patriotic country. They support people that do things to represent their country a lot more than Australia do.
All right. Damian Brown's our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes, what do you have for Damian Brown?
Damian, earlier in the interview, you alluded to how things were a little bad before this win. And I want to go back into your career a little bit because you've had two pretty good winning streaks, one at the beginning and then one I think around 2015, 2016. Those winning streaks, when they came around, does this last victory with Darren Cruikshank have anything similar to the start of those winning streaks, like feeling-wise?
Yeah, look, I think it's a mindset thing. I think, I always said positivity breeds positivity and negativity breeds negativity. I think it's the same with winning and losing. You win a couple in a row and everything snowballs. You lose a couple in a row and everything snowballs. It's like that undefeated confidence. Guys that are undefeated have a confidence like nothing else. So I think it's a big part of it is mindset. And I think just where you're at in your career. I think, in 2015, at the start of my career, I went 6-0. Obviously, I had that I can't be beaten feeling. And that certainly helps going into fights because you take risks that you normally wouldn't. In 2015, I was willing to walk away from MMA if I lost again. So I had nothing to lose. So, I fought like I had nothing to lose. I finished 4 out of my 5 fights, and the only fight I didn't finish was current UFC featherweight Shane Young. And that dude's got a head on him like a concrete block. So it was. Yeah, I think it's just a mindset thing. I had nothing to lose, and I went on a streak again. And then, obviously the losses in the UFC, you've always got something to lose when you're in the UFC. There's a clause in your contract that says they can release you after any loss. If that doesn't make someone fight like they're fighting for their job every single time, then I don't know what does. So I feel now like I've got nothing to lose in my career again. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I fought in the UFC. I proved the kind of fighter I am. I got fight of the night in Sydney. I've had fight of the night in every promotion I've ever fought for. So as far as I'm concerned, I've got nothing to lose again. So now I can fight every fight like I'm free. And I think that makes me dangerous. And my record and my history shows that makes me dangerous to opponents. And I hope that 2019 shows that.
Damien, I want to thank you for joining us here on the show. It's been great talking to you. We kind of jumped around on a lot of different subjects, but I was very interested in all of them. As an American, let me say thank you for your service, because when Goz and I were in Afghanistan, we saw a lot of different countries send their military personnel. We saw Australians there, and it's not just America that's fighting wars out there. It's a coalition. It's our allies, and Australia definitely was one of them. So on our behalf, thank you for your service, and thank you for doing this interview.
Yeah, Damien.
All right, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I really do.
Awesome. Well, let's keep in touch, and hopefully we can see you on another Ryzen card, or if something else changes and you pop up on another promotion, we'll see if we can connect. But thanks again.
No worries. Hopefully around 15. I've been pushing for a fight, so we'll see what happens.
Sounds good. All right, Damien. Thanks for the time. Take care, mate.
Thank you. See ya.
All right. We got to take our last break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Here are my life coaches. Everything I've done has been under their strict supervision. Here are George's goes and yours. Damn!
All right. I was just telling the guys, I wonder if Cejudo's pissed at the fact that he's not on a pay-per-view. One of the perks of being a world champion is you get to cash in that the pay-per-view bonus, that they give. And even if he only sold 150,000 buys at $1 per buy, that's 150,000 on top of what you regularly make. But let's just say it was $5 per. That's an extra 750,000. Let's just say it was right in the middle, between 1 and 5. That'd be 3 times 150. That's still 450. That's halfway to $1 million. It's something. And that's me saying, what if they only made 150,000? What if they made 200,000? I don't know. So hopefully the guys are getting a little bit more upfront money. Now, Dillashaw's not a champ defending. He's a champ. He's a challenger in this fight. He's just basically at this point the #1 ranked flyweight, if you want to call him that. But he's not defending. So did he, in his effort to chase history, did he also give up some money at the table?
He doesn't strike me as a guy that would do that, but I did hear him say that he
doesn't strike me
he
as
got money up front.
He's not obsessed with money. It doesn't seem like to me. He's obsessed with, I think, legacy. True. But not nothing like Conor or Floyd or the people that just...
That's a different level.
They talk, dollars and cents, till the year fall off. Or even Tyron Woodley talks. You don't have to have a conversation too long with Tyron Woodley before dollars and cents comes out. You know what I mean? He's a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. But Dillashaw does strike me as a type where he likes history. And this is a chance for him to get history. And then he's talking about 145 as well. That might be a bit much, man.
Think so?
Well,
I think he. I think
not
he could
because
battle.
I don't think he can do it. But first of all, he's got this fight, and this is a tough fight, man. The weight cut and everything. It's 2 fights. Then when he comes back, he's got to fight the winner of Marias and Assunção. Cruz is kind of out of the equation, but you got your Aljamain Sterlings and your Jimmy Rivera's, and there's a lot of fighters that are going to be kind of wanting to fight the champion or whoever, whether it's Dillashaw or anybody else, because he took some time away from defending the bantamweight title as well. TJ Dillashaw is a guy that just hasn't been that busy either in terms of bantamweight title opportunities.
True.
I'll show you what I mean.
Okay.
When he won the title, he defeated Cody Garbrandt in November of 2017. He only had 1 fight in 2018. Now we're in 2019, and it's him challenging the flyweight champion. If he gets out of here pretty healthy, let's say he wins or loses and he gets out of here healthy, either way, his next thing would be to defend the bantamweight title. We're probably looking at, I'm going to be conservative here, May. Is that fair? May is when TJ would fight again?
I could see that.
And if he got out of that one healthy and won October, that's still only twice in 2018. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I think, to be fair to that division, you got to pick up the pace.
I just think champions now fight twice a year. I think that's a new thing.
Yeah?
I think it's just how it's going to be from now on, especially with them making more money.
Yeah.
I think what kept them fighting frequently before was the fact that they just didn't. They made decent money, but after expenses and all that, it just wasn't that much.
Pettis versus... Sorry. Yeah, well, no, we know that.
Stephen Thompson.
Yeah. Pettis versus Stephen Thompson, that's official. But guess what else is official? Masvidal versus Darren Till. They're going to headline UFC on ESPN +5 in London, England. What do you think of that one?
Good fight. I think, but the thing is, like, pretty much anyone you insert into a George Masvidal fight, and Darren Till for that matter, it's going to be fun. But I think those guys, I want to hear them talk to each other.
I like that fight. You guys like it better than Colby Till? I do.
Matchup,
for what it's worth.
yes, but not the chip. See, Jorge Masvidal, I think backs off a little bit. He says what he's got to say, but Colby and Darren, I could see them going on and on and on. That'd be a fun phone press conference call or in person. Fight. The stare downs. Masvidal's a little bit more of a gangster, but he's kind of a low key gangster. Also on that fight card, by the way, is Leon Edwards and Gunnar Nelson, Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, Danny Roberts, and Claudio Silva. So good stuff happening out in London. We got to get out of here. We want to thanks Damien Brown. Shout out to Dan Tom for lining that one up. Aaron Pico, the Bellator people came through. Fernando Pratisfeld helped out with that one. Duane Bang Ludwig, shout out to myself for lining that one up. Tomorrow, we got Nasrat Hakparast and David Branch, as well as I think Eric Albarracin for Josh and Danny Goes. I'm George. Go out there and be a champion.
1.